Hi, my name is George, and this is my story. I came to the point of trusting Jesus as my Savior when I was 19 years old. I grew up in an Albanian Catholic home, and so we went to church, and I grew up with the knowledge of God and the Bible, but I didn't have a personal relationship with the Lord. And I remember being very conscious of my sins as a teenager, and God had put a few people in my life who were Christians, and I used to watch them, but they didn't know I was watching them. One guy, he used to bring his Bible to school, and this was in Florida. I went to Dunedin High School, and he would bring his Bible to school, and people would challenge him, and he didn't know, but I was all ears. And so I just had an understanding of, God's holiness, my own sinfulness, and I didn't have any power to overcome my sin. I didn't have the power to have victory in and of myself. I knew that going out partying and drinking and doing the things that we did as teenagers, I knew that those things were wrong, but I just couldn't stop doing those things. But I had a lot of guilt about it. And so one day when I was 19 years old, it was in January of 1993, and I remember specifically it was around 9:30 in the morning. I worked at Chili's restaurant in Countryside, Florida, right by the Countryside Mall there. And there was a guy that would come in the mornings, and he would, clean the restaurant. He had like a janitorial service, but he was also a youth pastor at a local church. And I didn't know that. I never met the guy before. And I woke up to go to work that morning, and I set my alarm wrong. I got there an hour early, and I wasn't happy about that because, I needed my beauty sleep. And so I had an hour to kill, and that was during that time period is when Jack shared the gospel with me. And he was very, very aggressive. He was not shy. He didn't back down, because I tried to get away from him a couple times, and he wouldn't let up. And so he shared the gospel with me, and I accepted the Lord as my Savior that day. And so because I had been struggling with the reality of sin and God's holiness and judgment, and I believe that there's a God, and one day I'm going to stand before him. Jack, basically, he picked the right fruit. The Lord had prepared me for that day. And it wasn't the first time I thought about eternity. I had been thinking about it quite a bit lately. And so, it was the day that I came to Christ. I surrendered my will, I surrendered my life, and I just simply believed the gospel. And we recently went to Florida as a family on vacation, and I took the kids to the place where I got saved, and requested to sit at the booth where I was standing. And so they heard that story again, and they were actually able to see the setting. And I shared that with the waiter, and I shared it with the manager of the place, and they seemed genuinely happy. But that day I was so excited, and I went around telling everybody, I got saved. And a few people said, oh wow, no way, you talked to Jack. Jack got him. So apparently Jack had talked to everybody there, and he was not shy about witnessing. And so I just want to encourage people that, if you're afraid to talk to somebody or witness somebody, you don't think it's going to be effective. I mean, a lot of times it doesn't appear to be, but in my case, that was the day. If he hadn't witnessed to me, if he hadn't been persistent, who knows? So why Jesus? I've heard that question asked many times, why Jesus? And there's a lot of ways you can answer that question. I mean, there's the general answers that everyone says, because he's the Lord, because he died for me, and all those things. That everybody says that, and those things are true. And I just want to say that Jesus sought me. He said, no man comes to me except the Father draw him.